Hello everybody, my name is Karryshh and welcome back to another recap video. And today it's a really good and scary Japanese horror movie, The Shock Labyrinth, directed by famous director Takashi Shimizu. It's gonna be a twisted tale about twisted timelines. The story is great and it's a must watch if you love Japanese horror. On top of that, if you're new here, then make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. It's the only way I can grow and it's literally free for you. Now with that said, sit back and relax as I recap the movie The Shock Labyrinth for you. So the movie begins in a festival where we witness 5 kids going inside a haunted house. The kids see some scary things and they ran, but a girl named Yuki leaves her stuffed rabbit behind. Soon she comes back for her rabbit alone, but then we see that someone is dragging Yuki away into darkness. Her rabbit is falling from a height, and this was the beginning of something really bad. We see a balloon and Yuki's rabbit floating in the hallway of that haunted house, which was creepy. Now with the intro, we see a girl ascending a flight of spiral stairs. Scenes of forest, and a guy in the background narrating about how our actions in the past shape our present. The scene goes on a guy named Ken who was in the hospital where he saw her mother dead. Ken's father came to comfort him, but Ken got anxious and he threw up. After this, Ken and her father left Japan, but now 10 years later, Ken is now back in Japan and he's an adult. Ken was waiting and soon his old friend Motoki came to see him. The two get into a car and go to meet Rin, their another friend. Now actually you see, Ken, Motoki and Rin are 3 out of 5 kids who went inside that haunted house 10 years ago. Ken was excited to meet Rin, and meanwhile Rin was preparing for her friend's arrival. Rin was also blind, but she kinda had a sixth sense and she was able to do all her work on her own. Now after a while, we see that the raindrop suddenly halts in the air in front of Rin's house and Rin felt someone's presence around her. Rin also dropped an old album in which she sees and remembers her lost friend Yuki, who actually disappeared in that haunted house. Now someone knocks on her door and she goes to answer, but soon she hears a voice of a girl who was scared and asking for help. That girl tells Rin that she is Yuki, which was impossible. Rin got stressed, but when she touched the door, she saw Yuki on the other side banging for help. Rin then immediately called Motoki and soon Motoki and Ken reaches her apartment, but it was too late, cause Rin already let that woman enter her house, who was then sitting on a table. Yuki told everyone that she's Yuki, but obviously the friends were having a hard time to believe her, and after discussing about it, Motoki decides to call Yuki's house and the phone was picked by Miyu, the 5th friend and Yuki's sister. Now Ken and Rin look at old photos and remember Yuki, and we find out that Yuki used to like Ken. Suddenly, Ken gets a sharp pain in his head and sees a vision where Yuki was unconscious at the end of that spiral staircase. Now when Ken gets his head together, the lights go out and Yuki starts to scream in fear. Everyone tries to calm Yuki down, but Yuki only calms down when Ken holds her. The two fell together, but then they lock eyes and Ken notices that Yuki's entire body is covered in bruises. Ken then felt a strange feeling where he believed that this woman is Yuki, which scared him to his feet. After this, they took Yuki to her house because Miyu told them to stop by. However, on their way, Yuki tells everyone that she was in the haunted house alive and she called for everyone, but no one listened to her. Yuki starts screaming about this fact, and hearing Yuki, Ken was getting that sharp headache and vision again and again, in which Yuki is coming up the spiral staircase. Soon they reach Yuki's place and meet with Miyu, where Miyu brings everyone inside, but she didn't believe that the woman is Yuki. However, Yuki finds out that her father died and her mother, well, she's alive, but she went crazy after Yuki disappeared. Yuki's mother still thinks that her daughter lives in this house, and to introduce Yuki to these new guests, her mother called her out. Yuki followed her mother into her room where she finally witnessed all the things that belonged to her clothes, toys, and her bed. It was emotional, and then Yuki tried to make her mother understand the fact that she's alive and she's back, but it was useless because Yuki's mother told Yuki that my daughter is sitting on this chair, and actually the one who was on the chair was Yuki's stuffed rabbit. That rabbit's eyes move, and for some reason, Yuki freaks out after seeing that thing. She tries to run away, and in that hassle, falls down the stairs. She was then unconscious, and Ken gets that vision again, where Yuki is getting closer and closer to the top of the stairs. Now Motoki, Rin, Miyu, and Ken takes Yuki to a hospital. Rin calls the hospital, but midway conversation, they lost the signal. Miyu then suggests that they should take this girl to a police station because Miyu was having a hard time believing that the woman is her long-lost sister, since her disappearance turns Miyu's life upside down. With their chit-chats, we also find out that all these friends kind of forgot about Yuki after a while, and they had a really vague memory of what really happened in that haunted house. Now suddenly, Yuki wakes up and she grabs Ken's hand, saying that they finally meet again. It scares Ken, but the next second he notices that Yuki is still sleeping. It was evident that something weird was happening. Now finally, those four friends get into a hospital with Yuki, but surprisingly, the entire hospital was empty. There was not a single worker inside, which was really concerning. Motoki shouts at the counter, but no one responds, and then Motoki and Ken go to wander around and look for a doctor. Now Motoki sees a girl drawing on a wall, but when she sees him, she ran away. Meanwhile, Ken finds a festival balloon floating in the hallway, but someone snatches it away, startling Ken. He then once again sees the vision of Yuki on the spiral staircase, and on the other hand, Miyu was getting stressed about this entire situation, and Rin was trying to calm her down. Miyu notices that the clocks of this place are not working, and then suddenly, Yuki wakes up. She screams about how important it is that they leave this place as soon as possible, and then Yuki runs away into the dark. Now as soon as Yuki leaves, Motoki comes back followed by Ken. But Ken comes from the way Yuki just went by, and surprisingly, Ken didn't cross paths with Yuki, which was strange, and now all four of them go to look for Yuki. While looking for her, Rin finds a drawing on a wall that the little girl drew a while back, but that picture scares Rin for some reason. Then Motoki hears a voice, and he leads everyone into the dark corners and hallways of this hospital. The lights get dimmer and dimmer, and the hospital completely turns into something else. In the middle of this, Ken steps on two goldfishes, which were in a small poly bag, and that reminded him of his past. And once again, he gets that vision where Yuki was almost at the top, and she was saying to Ken to not leave her alone. Now as the friends move forward in that strange place, we see Yuki's rabbit floating behind him. Now Rin stops everyone and told them that they should leave this place cause it's changing a lot, and it could be that Yuki's up to something evil. However, then Miyu looked at that place attentively, and then she tells everyone that she was having dreams about this place since Yuki disappeared, but she's not sure where is this place. Suddenly, Rin's sixth sense activates and she sees Miyu, but it was the version of Miyu from the past who was sitting in the corner. Only Rin could see her, and then Miyu runs away, hitting everyone on her way out, and everyone felt that nudge on their bodies. Little Miyu leaves her shoe behind, which shocks adult Miyu, and she finally remembers that this place is not the hospital anymore because they're now stuck inside the haunted house where everything happened. Now suddenly Ken sees all their little versions running from behind him and going upstairs. Soon screams were heard coming from where the kids went, and all four friends go to check it out. On their way, they found a broken, scary statue by the stairs, which was also related to their past, and then they reached the hallway where it all began. There, they see their little versions, and their little versions sees them, and soon they ran away in fear. This was the moment where Ken and others realize that they're stuck in some labyrinth, after which Ken discovers Yuki's stuffed rabbit, which was looking fresh out of the box. In fear, Mochoki throws the rabbit away, and once again, Ken sees Yuki climbing those stairs, but this time she was just a few steps away from the top. Then Miu declares that this is the place where Yuki disappeared from, and maybe now Yuki's taking revenge cause they all left her here. Suddenly, Ken realizes something and he starts stammering about how he was the one who killed Yuki. Finally, in his vision, Yuki reaches the top and gets inside Ken's head, and the scene goes in the past. Now we see little Ken, Miu, Mochoki, Rin, and Yuki, who were in an amusement park, and they all have things like balloon, fishes, and stuff we've seen in the hospital. Mochoki then spots a haunted house and he and others go there on Mochoki's request even when most of them didn't wanna go. They then find out that the haunted house is closed, but Mochoki wanted to explore, and that was why he took his friends and entered the place from the back door. The friends started exploring that creepy place and soon reach a spiral staircase where little Rin draws a picture, the one we've seen before. She actually writes her and Ken's name on the wall cause Rin likes Ken. Anyway, the kids go upstairs where they found that creepy statue we saw earlier. Afterwards, they reach the hallway where it all began, and there, the little kids saw their adult versions looking at them. This scares the kids and they ran away, separating from each other, which ended with Yuki disappearing. Now when Yuki disappeared, the others were found by cops and were brought back home. But little Ken was telling the cops that Yuki is still inside and they need to get her. However, no one listened to him. Back in the present, Ken now remembers all that and he babbles about how he was the one who killed Yuki. And then suddenly, Yuki appears in front of everyone. She comes and picks up her rabbit and go back from where she came. But then, her head flipped over and she starts running towards the friends. She then disappeared suddenly and everyone finally understands that Yuki is indeed taking her revenge. Suddenly, a shutter drops between friends which ended up separating Mochoki and Miu from Ken and Rin. They all decided to look for an exit, but Miu, cause now she wants to look for her sister and help her, cause Miu realized that her sister is trapped in this place. Meanwhile, Rin and Ken reaches a room where they find a lot of creepy mannequins that were not there before. The two were trying to look for an exit, but Rin stops in the middle because she sees through her sixth sense that Yuki has drawn another picture above Rin's. Yuki has written hers and Ken's name on the wall, and seeing that, Rin told Ken that in the past she knew that Ken and Yuki liked each other. However, everyone just used to give sympathy to Rin since she was blind, and that was why Rin was jealous of Yuki and she wanted Ken to be her boyfriend. We also find out that before Yuki disappeared, she fell from the spiral staircase, and when Ken was about to go and help her, Rin stopped him and told him that there's something scary down there. Rin intentionally didn't let Ken go help Yuki, and that was why now Rin was sure Yuki's spirit is gonna kill her first. From here, scene goes in the past, where after running away from their adult versions, everyone got separated. Yuki was looking for Ken and others, and as the time twists in this place, adult Miu and Mochoki from present came in the past to witness what actually happened to Yuki. So Yuki was looking for everyone, but suddenly, little Ken popped out from a locker to scare Yuki, but this startled her enough that she slipped from the railing. Her stuffed rabbit fell down first, but she somehow grabs the metal bars. Yuki asked for help, but Ken got scared enough that he took too long to hold Yuki's hand, which ended with Yuki falling down. Then Rin came out from another locker and she didn't let Ken go help Yuki, saying that there's something scary down there. Scared, Ken and Yuki ran away, and seeing all that, adult Motoki and Miu were in shock because Ken was actually the reason Yuki died. However, suddenly Miu remembers what happened after Yuki fell. Actually, afterwards, little Miu came near the staircase and she found her sister in a motionless state, but Yuki was still alive. Miu was going to help Yuki, but she couldn't because an unknown person grabbed Yuki and dragged her into the darkness, scaring little Miu away. Now, adult Miu remembers all this and she ran downstairs to see who dragged her sister away. But downstairs, Miu and Motoki found someone else. They found Rin, who was dead and her neck was broken. It scared the hell out of those two, and then Miu finds her sister's rabbit. Inside of that rabbit was a music box, which was a present for little Miu, but Yuki never gets to give that to her. Something really bad was happening, and now they all needed to find an exit. Now the scene goes on the next day, where we see many ambulances and cops outside the haunted house. The cops have arrested Ken, and we see all his friends are dead. Ken was screaming that Yuki is still inside and they need to find her, but no one listens to him. The cop took Ken away, and after that, 1 out of 3 dead bodies turns out to be alive. We didn't find out which one of them survived the night, but from here the plot will thicken and twist a lot. Now Ken is being interrogated by detective, where Ken revealed how last night Yuki killed all his friends. Detective reveals that Rin died after someone broke her neck with a heavy object, and only a man is likely to pick up that kind of weight. Then some other people calls the detective out, and he was shown a hospital report which baffles him. Back to the last night where Rin and Ken were together, and they were looking for a way out when suddenly past and present twisted together again, and the two saw little Yuki, who was going up the spiral staircase, and this was the time when Yuki was going to fall. Adult Ken followed Yuki to save her, but he couldn't, and soon Yuki fell after little Ken startled her, but surprisingly, Yuki fell straight on adult Rin, and that was how Rin's neck broke and she died. Seeing all that, Ken's spine shivered and he cried for Rin. Soon little Miu was going to look down at her sister, but as that happened, Ken dragged the body under the stairs and he became the unknown person who took Yuki away. Now Ken hides with Yuki, who was still alive and suffering, when adult Motoki and Miu came down and found dead Rin, and we all have seen this happen before. Now Yuki died in Ken's arm, but soon she woke up and grabbed Ken, saying that she will never let him go. Afterwards, Motoki and Miu were looking for an exit, but at every place they were encountering scary mannequins. One of the mannequins moved in front of Motoki, which scared him enough that he ran and ran and ran, and then locked himself in a room. Miu told Motoki to come out, but Motoki denied, claiming that he did nothing wrong with Yuki and he should not be punished for something he hadn't done. He refused to come out, and then Miu just sat in front of the room in the hallway where the rain was seeping in. A while later, Miu spots the carnival balloon as well as Ken, who was trying to get rid of Yuki's rabbit because that rabbit was then attached to his hand. Then all of a sudden, the raindrops halts in the air, and Miu witnessed that the rabbit in Ken's hand is actually Yuki. Yuki then let Ken go for a while, and then the rabbit floats in the air towards Miu. The rabbit stopped in front of Miu and then its zipper unzipped, and from inside came out Yuki's hand and then her creepy head. Yuki ripped apart her favorite bunny and came out of it, and she looked down at her sister. Yuki cradles Miu in her little version, and with a gentle touch of love, Yuki sucked the life out of Miu's body. Miu died, and then comes out Motoki from the room, and when he sees the body, he screams and runs for his life. He ran into evil mannequins and they were staring at him. Motoki reaches a room where he found Ken, but Ken was just standing there like a statue since now he's with Yuki. Mochoki shakes Ken, and when he finally looks at him, Ken just laughs and tells him that they're all gonna die. Then suddenly, Mochoki spots evil Yuki behind Ken, and he knew something is wrong with Ken, so he ran away. On his way, Ken finds Rin's sweater, and he mourns her death. He then reaches the grand hall of the haunted house where he slipped, and Yuki tried to murder him with a chandelier, but he escaped. He then leaves the haunted house, but instead of the real world, he was sent into a vision of past. He sees himself and his other friends who wanted to go in the haunted house, but before he could do something, he was teleported back near the spiral staircase. There Mochoki finds his little version who was playing with Rin's dead body, because now her dead body had turned into a statue. Little Mochoki sits on Rin because he was unable to find his friends, but then adult Mochoki came and he tells himself that he needs to leave this place and never return. Obviously, adult Mochoki scares his little version, and little Mochoki ended up kicking him away. Little Mochoki then ran away, and accidentally, adult Mochoki broke Rin's neck. Mochoki was then hella scared and confused when suddenly Yuki fell from him from above, fatally injuring his head. Mochoki was blinded after the first rag, but now Yuki laughs. She goes upstairs and once again fell on him. Yuki does the same thing again and again and again until Mochoki stopped moving. Now after this, Ken arrived at the scene and witnessed the horror. Then Yuki comes in front of him and she laughs as she walks towards him. Ken now run away from evil Yuki, and we see that Yuki's rabbit is healing itself. The mannequins are coming to life and the haunted house is operational again. All the mannequins were then on a hunt to look for Ken. Ken ran and ran and ran, but at every corner mannequins tried to catch him. In the end, Ken finds himself in a baby's room with the TV turned on and played the video from the day Yuki disappeared, when suddenly he was sucked inside. He opened his eyes in front of the haunted house where he see all his little friends and they were about to go in. There little Ken promised little Yuki that he will not let go of her hand. Well, adult Ken wanted to stop the kids from entering, and that was why Yuki's spirit changed the scenario he was seeing. The kids couldn't enter the place because their parents arrived and took them away. However, Ken's mother told Ken that if he had gone inside, then Yuki would have died and the fault would be Ken's. Then Ken witnessed all his dead friends and soon he returns back to reality. Ken was then sent to another vision where he sees her dead mother, but this time her mother wakes up. Scared, Ken runs away and hides in another room. There Ken sees another patient and he went to go and look at the patient's face, but before he could do that, he finds himself back at the haunted house where he was now on the other side of the railing about to fall down. Adult Ken relieves his past mistake before he falls down and lands between dozens of evil mannequins. The mannequins comes to life and attack on Ken. Ken runs away towards the exit, but it was no use because every room was filled with mannequins waiting for him. In the end, he reaches a bridge which was surrounded by mannequins. They grabbed his legs and some came from behind to block his path, and from the front, Yuki finally comes face to face with him. She was crying and then suddenly, her eyes turns upside down and rolls here and there violently. Her face breaks apart and she asks Ken why did he let go of her hand. She then promised Ken that she will never let him go, after which Ken fainted. Now the next day, Ken was found by workers with a mannequin that looked exactly like Yuki and it was crying. Soon cops and ambulance came and the scene that happened earlier happens now. We find out that the friend who survived was Mochoki, but now Mochoki was blind. Well, at least Yuki didn't unalive him. Meanwhile, Ken was telling the detectives that Yuki's dead body is somewhere hidden in the haunted house and they must find her and bury her. But then, detective declares that Yuki is still alive, but she's in a coma for 10 years. Here, detective revealed that after falling down 10 years ago, Yuki went into a coma and Ken thought that he killed her. After that accident, Ken's mother died as well, and he lost his mind even more. That was why he and his father moved away from Japan. But last week, when Ken came back to Japan, all the bad memories rushed back into his mind, and he began to think that Yuki has come back to life and she is trying to take revenge. But that was not the case, because Ken imagined all that, and actually, he took his friends to the haunted house and murdered them because he needed someone to blame everything on. Ken is now claiming that it was Yuki, but it was actually him, because detectives have found Yuki in a coma in another hospital. Hearing this, Ken starts screaming because he couldn't believe that it all happened in his imagination, and maybe he was right. Now we see Yuki, who was literally in a coma, but her feet were dirty and there were feathers around her that belonged to that stuffed bunny. So here's a theory. Actually, Yuki really wanted to take her revenge, and that feeling gave birth to a curse like we see in many Japanese horror movies. That curse waited for Ken to return to Japan, and when he came back, the curse began and it took Yuki's revenge like she wanted to. In the end, Ken was being taken to a prison cell, but Ken's mind was still in the haunted house because Yuki had promised him that she will never let him go. And this is where the movie ends. So this was the recap video on the movie The Shock Labyrinth, and I hope you have liked it. If you have, then please subscribe the channel and like this video. I really need your support to grow further. If you wanna watch this movie, there's a link to my Telegram channel where I share movie links every now and then, so go subscribe there. I'm mostly active on Insta, so you can follow me there as well. Look into my other channel where we discuss about the mysteries of the world. All the links are in the description box. For now, I see you all in the next one. Till then, stay awake, cause they always see you.